Good morning, Primary 6. Today we're going to look at our spelling words for the week. Before I get started, I just wanted to say I noticed a massive difference in the quality of the work of your sentences that was being submitted last week. So well done, I can see a real difference in there. Lots of you were using lots of different openers for your sentences, but what I would like to see this week is you trying to build in some of those conjunctions that we learned about in there as well. So maybe try and use despite, while, even though, something like that, just to add a little bit more variety into your sentence while keeping those lovely variety of openers. I also noticed that a lot of you were using different punctuation. We had some people trying some speech marks, which is something we're going to learn about over the next few weeks as well. Trying some speech marks, we had exclamation marks, we had question marks. So overall, I was really impressed with the improvements. So keep that up. These aren't just sentences to put your spelling words in, they're a really good way to practice and apply our grammar skills and improve our writing skills as well. Hi P6, just editing and realised I forgot to say that this week I would like you to submit your spelling sentences onto the assignment rather than in the comments. So in some of your feedback, some of you have said you prefer doing it on the assignments because it means you don't have to post it in front of everyone else. So for most of your literacy and maths tasks, I will start setting assignments. If it isn't an assignment, I'll make sure and tell you just to pop it in the comments. Normally if it's something small like Samson, it's fine to go in the comments. But just to make sure that everybody's feeling a bit more comfortable with uploading their work, pop it in assignments. It means that only me and you can see it and you all get your individual feedback. W group, this week you have got 3 sounds, which are the letter Y, the letters I, G, H, and then the letters I and E when they've got another letter in the middle of them. So our first sound we're looking at is cry we're looking at our Y sound in the end. Now the reason we're looking at these sounds together is because they all make a very similar sound, and that's what we call a long I sound. So rather than, for example, in big, where we do that big, very quickly, these sound much longer and it sounds like that I sound. So cry, you can hear that I at the end. Cry, that I. Then we've got dry, sky, okay? So that long Y sound at the end. It's not an I, it's a Y, but it sounds like an I. The next one that we've got here is the I with a letter in the middle and then an E. So it does the same thing again, it turns that I into a much longer I. So when we think of how it sounds in big, whereas if we look at mice, we've got that ice. Big, mice, mice. Okay, so you can hear the difference in those 2 sounds. So when you pop a letter in between and then an E after, it changes that I to be a much longer sound. And then finally, we have got the IGH sound. So we've got fight, light, and night. And again, that's that long I. Fight, light, night. Okay? So it sounds, the IGH actually sounds like kind of an ITE on most of those words, but that I sound does get longer. So W group, I know I didn't go through the meaning of all of those words, but I think all of them you should be able to work out for yourself. So have a look at them, see if there's any you don't understand. If there are, pop a little comment on the literacy channel and I will go through them. X group, you have got some tricky words this week, so let's go through, talk about what they mean and what can be tricky about them at times. So our first word that we've got is beautiful. I think you all know what that means. That's one that's quite often spelled incorrectly. Sometimes people put a double L on the end, or sometimes they miss out either the A or the U in the middle. So make sure you're looking at that E-A-U sound just after the B at the start of the word, because that's one that's quite, when we've got 3 vowels together, it's quite unusual, so we need to make sure we're remembering that. Number 2 is excited. This one is really commonly spelt wrong by people who write it as exited, which is a different word. So if you skip out that C and write E-X-I-T-E-D, which in your head probably sounds like excited, you get exited and it's a completely different word. So like I exited the building, but we want excited, so we want that soft C, excited sound in there. Next one we've got is babies. A lot of people spell this incorrectly as a plural. They do B-I-B-Y-S. We need to make sure we know that we're dropping the Y and adding I-E-S to make that a plural. Number 4, we have got wonderful. A lot of people put a double L on the end of this to make it wonderful. They say it like that. So again, we're making sure we don't put a double L, it's only got the one. Number 5, we have got point. It's got that OI sound in the middle of it. A lot of people will miss out the I and write pont. We need to make sure we're writing point. Our next one is page. Because this is a name, some people pop an I in there when there shouldn't be one, so we need to make sure we're writing PIGE for page. Number 7, we've got could. Now, could doesn't sound, it's a tricky word, the sounds don't really match with how we say it. First of all, it's got a curly K, but it sounds like a kicking K. So we've got that hard C, so could. And also that OULD sound, it doesn't make that old sound you would think it does, it makes ud, could. And then we've got would at the bottom, which is the same one. And then obviously, like my surname, there is the homophone of would, W-O-O-D, so we need to make sure we're not mixing would up with the homophone. And then number 8, we've got mother, so it's just another tricky word. And then answer, a lot of people miss out the W in that word because you don't really hear it, it just sounds like answer. So it's a silent W, we need to make sure we pop in. So that is your words for the week. So you've got your sentences to do, your active task, and your online games if you're able to. Y group, you've got some tricky words as well this week, so let's go through them. We've got divided first of all, because there's 2 I's in this, a lot of people miss out generally the second I in here as well, or they'll write dived is another way that people can do it. So it's divided. It's quite a mouthful almost to say divided, but make sure you're getting all of those sounds in there. Number 2, we have got general. Now you don't hear the E, the second E, so it's general. So it's very unusual for people to say general. I would say general, so you need to make sure you're putting that E in there even if you don't say it when you're saying the word general. Number 3, energy. A lot of people will miss out that second E again, and also some people put an IE on the end instead of the Y, so we need our energy sound. Number 4, we've got subject. This one is quite often confused because people will accidentally think the J is a G sound and they'll write energy, subject with a G in it. Number 5 is simple, so hopefully that is simple to spell. Number 6 is Europe. This one, because it's got quite a lot of vowels in it, it's got an E, U, O and another E, it's quite easy to mix up vowels, so that's why this one's in here. We also really need to make sure that we spell that with a capital because it is the name of a place. So that's a really common mistake that we make quite a lot. If we're writing the name of any place, so like Lochmaben Primary School, it needs to have capitals. Europe, England, Scotland, anywhere that is a name of something or a person must have a capital letter because it's what we call a proper noun. Number 7, we've got region. This one is quite commonly spelled. People will put the I before the G instead of after it. Region means like a local area, so we live in the region of Dumfries and Galloway. It wouldn't be like a whole country, but it would be like the region, or you could say I stay in the region of Lochmaben, so nearby. Number 8, we've got believe. A lot of people will miss the I sound out after the L, so make sure you're learning that one, and the I before E in there, believe. Number 6, exercise. Really commonly people mix up the C and the S because they have really similar sounds, and they'll write exercise. It probably wouldn't really change the sound of the word, you just need to learn that the C comes before the S. I do this by remembering that C comes before S in the alphabet, so in this word it comes first. And then finally, developed. Again, this one's got quite a lot of vowels in it. It's got E and then another E and then an O and then another E. So this is really easy to miss a vowel out, particularly the E after the L. So make sure you're popping all of those vowels in there. Just having a look through, we should really know what all of those mean. I've talked about region. Divided obviously means if something has been split up, you could say it's been divided. But I don't think there's anything else there that you wouldn't know. If there is, pop a comment and I will go over it for you. So you can get on with your tasks now. Said group, you have got tricky words again this week. You're just actually about finished our spelling planner that we use in school. There is another one for you to move on to, but before you do that, we're mopping up a lot of the tricky words from the school one that we use at the minute before we go on to the extension programme. So it will be quite a few weeks of some tricky words. So it is important that you know these, because these are the ones that we sort of need you to have learned by the end of school. So these are important to learn. Our first one we've got is individual. Now you'll notice that all of these words we're working off a list that is part of the alphabet. So they go I and then L and then M and then there's one N. So it's alphabetical, some tricky words. Now there's quite a few of these words have a lot of vowels in them. And when words have a lot of vowels, it's really easy to confuse them for different sounds, because vowels make different sounds depending on where they are in the word or what letters are around them or before them or after them. It is really, really easy to learn or to mix up vowels when we're doing words with lots in them. So if we look at individual, for example, it's got 3 I's, a U and an A in there. And a lot of people will think there's an E because the I sound can sound like an E. So it's really important that we're making sure we're looking carefully at where the vowels are and looking at how the word looks. For a lot of these, the best practice will be just writing them out several times, because once you've done that and it looks right, it kind of goes in your head and helps you work out if you glance at it and that doesn't look quite right, if it's wrong. So our first one is individual. Again, it's got all those I's, so that's kind of the key thing in there we need to be remembering. Number 2, interfere. If we look at that one again, we're seeing the same pattern with a lot of vowels. We've got the I at the start and then it's all E's afterwards. Again, it's really easy to mix up I's and E's, so make sure you learn that it's the first is an I and then the rest are all E's. Next, we've got interrupt. Now this doesn't have quite so many vowels in it, but it does have a double R in the middle, and we know that that's something that's really easy to misspell. Number 4, language. Again, this pattern of so many vowels. We've got an A and then a U and then an A and then an E, so it's got lots of different ones. The bit of language that people most often misspell is the UA bit in the middle. They quite often mix that up for a different set of vowels, so make sure you're learning. It's almost like language, like that's kind of in your head, like language. If you say that a few times, it's quite funny, it might stick in your brain. Number 5, leisure. This one, a lot of people miss out the I in there and just write L-E-S-U-R-E because it doesn't really change the sound, so you can see why that's an easy mistake. So make sure you're learning that E-I. And that's one of those exceptions to the I before E rule. There are lots of them, but that's one of them because the E comes first and there's no C in front of it. Next, we've got lightning. This one, it's really easy to spell lightening. Like I would think L-I-G-H-T-E-N-I-N-G, but actually we don't have that E in there. It's lightning, so it's quite an odd one. The word light and then ning at the end of it. Number 7, marvellous. We've got that double L in there. It's really, really commonly left out. Mischievous. You don't hear a lot of the sounds towards the end of that word. You can say it mischievous. That's maybe a better way to say it to help remember how to spell it. But we're looking carefully at that I-E. So opposite from leisure, that one has actually got the I-E in it and follows the rule, but you don't really hear the sound. So I would say mischievous. But it's actually mischievous if you look at the word. So if you try and maybe say it like that, that will help you hear the sounds a little bit better. Number 9, we've got muscle. The end of that word is just a bit of an odd sound, so make sure you're looking at that. And then nuisance. Again, the start of that sound is an odd one. That UI is not a particularly common combination of vowels, so have a look at that one. Let's have a look through and see if there's any of those words that might be slightly tricky to understand what they mean. Individual means by yourself. Interfere is to kind of get in the middle of something. So say I was teaching and I don't know, Mrs. Maxwell come in and started trying to change things. I would say, you're trying to interfere with my lesson. You're trying to sort of mess it up. Number 3, interrupt. I think we all know what that means. Number 4, language. So language talks about anything to do with how we communicate. So you could communicate in sign language, you could communicate in English, Spanish, Russian, and any language that you speak. I wish I could communicate in a few more. But we also could use language in the context of the way we use literacy. So like we're going to do a literacy lesson, we could say we're going to do a language lesson. So anything that's about language could be grammar, spelling. This is a language lesson just now. Number 5, we have got leisure, so that's something that you do to kind of enjoy yourself. Like, we would most commonly hear that word for the leisure centre. You might also hear the phrase, oh, just do it at your leisure, normally used quite sarcastically to say kind of get a move on, you're doing things at your own pace here. Number 6, we've got lightning, obviously during a thunderstorm. It's not the same as if I was lightening, for example, my hair. That would be Lighthening, so that really common misspelling, putting that E, so that would be to lighten, lightening. But it's different obviously from the lightning that comes down from the sky, although they sound almost identical, so they're kind of homophones. Number 7, marvellous, something's really, really good, it's marvellous. Mischievous, I don't think that needs any explanation. Muscle are the things that we use that are attached to all of our bones that make all our different body parts move. And number 10, nuisance. If something is really annoying you, you say, that dog's a nuisance, it's always getting in my way, or I'm sure you could think of quite a few nuisances that you could come up with. So I'm excited to read your spelling sentences for that word. Okay, you can get started with your activities.